Yeah.
All right. All good.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Okay, so just like I said, a quick announcement. So last night, we were able to pass out some scholarships to some high school seniors that graduating this year. The essays get better and better every year. They get harder to grade, and I mean that. I mean, they're just so fantastic to read, and these kids are just phenomenal. So normally we give out 3 scholarships. This year we had to give out 5 just because we couldn't decide who to give them to. So we gave out one $1,000 scholarship, 2 $500 scholarships, and 2 $250 scholarships. We're gonna, as a board, once we reconvene as a board, we're gonna try to talk about that again and see if maybe we can bump those up a little bit. Do a couple more fundraisers to get more money into the coffers to see if we can bump those numbers up a little bit. Because I know a lot of the students do depend on these scholarships. So like to try to get that going and see what different activities that we can do to bump those numbers up. So we'll talk about that and let you guys know how that works. Also, another reminder, Home Days is August 22nd and 23rd. We have a lot of cool activities. We're going to have a dunk tank this year instead of the pie in the face. Mr. Larson's already volunteered for that. No, I'm kidding. If you want to do it, you're more than welcome. We got the dunk tank. We have AIW wrestling is going to be our feature on Sunday. So we're going to have wrestling matches all day. I'm trying to get Dr. Claris and Mayor in there for like a cage match. We'll see how that goes. And we have a lot of bands all day Saturday, all day Sunday. We're going to have bands playing, kids activities, food trucks. It's going to be a great event. Last year we had we're estimating about over 4,000 people that showed up. We're estimating probably 5,000 to 6,000 people this year. So we need sponsorships. We need volunteers. The volunteers are very, very important for us. We really do need some volunteers. So if your company or organization can give out hours for volunteers, that'd be fantastic. But we also need sponsorships to get that going as well. Other than that, we have our next meeting the 3rd Tuesday in June. We'll let you guys know who the speaker is for that. And then at this moment, I would like to bring up our guest speaker. So, is it Zernak?
Yeah, it's very good.
All right,
Thank
perfect.
you.
All right. So please join me and welcome our guest speaker, Nancy Zernak. She's the program manager for Greater Cleveland Volunteers. Nancy has dedicated years to connecting individuals, businesses, and organizations with meaningful volunteer opportunities throughout Northeast Ohio. Through her leadership, Greater Cleveland Volunteers continues to strengthen our community by encouraging service, engagement, and support for local nonprofit organizations. We're very excited to have Nancy here today to share her insight on the impact and importance of volunteerism in our community. Please welcome Nancy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, it's great to be here today. The sun's shining. We're starting to get into summer, so life is good, right? Yeah, so a little bit about me and, how I got to Greater Cleveland Volunteers. I have been, my career was really in sales and marketing. And then my youngest of 4 children went to college and decided that I needed an encore career and got into the nonprofit world. And so I've been doing this for the last 8 years. A little fun fact, who was around when the Fulton Road Bridge was imploded? Anybody remember that? Okay, so everybody remember how the first time it didn't go down because the explosions were actually exploding themselves. So how I know this, my husband was the project manager on that project. So the day came when they needed to knock it down, and it needed to come down because it was already compromised. My 8-year-old son pushed the button to bring it down. So fun fact is my son brought that bridge down. So. But yeah, so that's a little bit about me. So let's get on with the fun stuff. So again, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And we're going to get into some volunteerism. So Greater Cleveland Volunteers, I have a question for you. How many have ever heard of Greater Cleveland Volunteers? Good, thank you. Okay. When I first started into the nonprofit, I had never heard of them, and I had lived my whole life in Cuyahoga County. So it's a little well-kept secret. We started in 1972. We started as what is today an AmeriCorps senior program, which we do still manage today, but we have expanded past that. Our role is to connect people 18 and over with volunteer opportunities at nonprofit organizations throughout Cuyahoga County. So with that, what that looks like is we partner with nonprofit agencies and we find out what they need volunteers for to achieve their mission. And then the other half of it is we get out into the community and we encourage, we inform, we engage people to let them know what's available to do. So we kind of do the work for you. So like we're basically what is known as a volunteer center. And there's very few left in this country, actually. So Cleveland is very fortunate and able to have that. And our role is really just to bring you together to connect you. So we actually have organizations in all of these categories. So we have in the area of hunger, homelessness and housing, community support, education, youth empowerment, older adult services, healthcare services, arts and culture, environment, and outdoor recreation. So now we're going to get into what is volunteerism and what it really is about. And it's really about freely giving your time and talent for charitable, educational, other worthwhile activities, especially in one communities. So in one sense, I'm singing to the choir right now. You know, you're part of the chamber, you're working to make your community better, and you are all volunteering to be here. So you are already volunteering. So we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between formal volunteering and informal volunteering. So formal volunteering is when you actually volunteer for a nonprofit with a mission. You know, just like the chamber has a mission. Habitat for Humanity has a mission. American Red Cross has a mission. So it's an organization and it has a mission. With that, you need to also make a commitment and sign up. You need to say that, yes, I will be there, you know, once a month, once a week, or if you're just doing it done in a day, but you just don't show up to the organization and say, I'm here, you know. Now, informal volunteering, and some people will say this is just being a good neighbor or being a good person, but it's random acts of kindness. It's helping as an individual and not through an organization. Neighbors helping each other. It could be just being in the right place at the right time, you know, helping someone load their groceries into their car if you notice that it's, you know, really heavy for them. So volunteerism facts. So in the United States, we have a long history of volunteerism. It goes back to 1736 at the first volunteer firehouse. 5 out of Americans help a neighbor. So 5 out of 10, so 50% of our society does informal volunteering. You know, they will put their needs aside and do something, you know, to help someone on an informal basis. 28% of Americans volunteer with organizations. That has actually slipped and is continuing to slip. We're seeing that even during the pandemic, which was really nice to see, informal volunteering stayed consistent. It was at 50%, it stayed 50%, which is wonderful. We saw formal volunteering just continually slides a little bit. And it's kind of what you see too. You see less people getting involved in organizations, everything from the bowling league to chambers to, you know, we're not seeing that commitment to community as much as we saw in the past. We're hoping that'll change. We hope it's cycle and it'll cycle through. So in Ohio, we have 2.2 million volunteers, 24% of our population, and that's just under 165 million hours of service a year. Okay, so why volunteer? Okay, so now it's like, because volunteer is important, it's important to you because it offers essential help to worthwhile causes, people in need, and the wider community. With that, it also makes our community more equitable and just. So volunteers are vital to nonprofits. Nonprofits could not survive without volunteers. If they had the ability to hire staff, and they would, they don't, you know, and things come up, most nonprofits are running on a very very tight budget and can't really do all the things they need to do. Volunteers will help them expand their mission, will help them achieve things that they couldn't do if they didn't have those extra, hands helping them. So here's the good thing. Why should you volunteer? And when it really boils down to, it's good for you. I mean, it really is. And there's some good reasons why. So first of all, it connects you with others. The second thing is it's good for your mind and body. The next is it advances your value, and it brings fun and fulfillment to your life. So we can break these down a little bit. So when we talk about it connecting you with others, first of all, you make new friends because you're working on something together. You have a common interest. So you make new friends. It gives you a sense of belonging. You are working on this common goal with someone or in some group. And so it does give you that sense of belonging and being a part of it. They're doing the mulch out there. I don't know if anybody got a whiff of it when they came in today. So I'm glad there's a wall right here right now. The next thing, it widens your social network. And I think as society, so many of us, we live in bubbles. We live in bubbles and we're not expanding our worlds. We're not seeing other people. We're not seeing other cultures. So sometimes volunteering, not only you wind your social network because you're working with people in a nonprofit, which you might not have ever worked with before. You're working with clients. You're working with other volunteers who might be from anywhere, but you're all working on the same goal and you're working to achieve this mission. So it really does connect you to others. So it's good for the mind. Volunteering has been proven to help with mental health. So whether it's depression, anxiety, it really does help because you're working in this capacity of helping others, and that's always better for your mental health. It helps build self-confidence and self-esteem because you're out there, you're doing something good. You're learning something new, you're contributing. So that definitely helps make you a solider person in feeling good about yourself and knowing that you're contributing. This last one, it helps you forget your own problems. It's true, but it's also problematic. We all have that saying that if we threw, all our problems into a pile, we'd probably pull them all out. And I like to think that's probably more of it than about forgetting our own problems. So it's good for the body. It's proven, no matter what type of volunteering you do, and it doesn't necessarily need to be physical. If you have a certain amount of volunteering, and I think it's like, I don't know, like 4 hours a week or something. I mean, so that's a commitment, but 4 hours a week, that'll actually lower your mortality rate because it's just, again, and it doesn't have to be physical. It could be, something where you're sitting and doing it. But the physical one is good too because, if you're trying to get the steps in or, just trying to, you get that feeling of accomplishment through physical activity. Volunteerism is good for that also. Advancing your value. So I'm going to talk in this in two different categories. So if you're in the workplace, volunteering is great to have on a resume. If you're, or when you're in an interview, or when you're talking about your goals as far as moving forward in an organization. Volunteerism is very good. And it's good for so many reasons because it shows you take initiative. It shows that this is something you don't have to be doing, but you are doing. And it shows that you care about others, you care about your community. So again, it's giving of your time, again. So it's great opportunities to practice communication, teamwork, problem solving, planning, organization, all those great things that we all need to work on. So I'm going to take the next step and what if you don't need a resume anymore? What if you're retiring? Okay. Why is it good? It advances your value. Because it's great when you're like, so what did you do today? And you're able to say, I did this. I didn't, just, not do anything. I did something that made this world better. So whether it's when you're out to lunch with friends or you're, again, in that interview, it does show that, what type of person you are. So it's great to advance your value. And this is always, it brings fun and fulfillment into your life. So because volunteer opportunities range from everything, anything you could think of as a volunteer opportunity. So it gets you able to explore your interests and passions. So maybe your career is in one avenue, but you really like other things, or you wanted to do other things, but this was more profitable. And so you're able to, to get into other things and just explore other areas. Escape from your day-to-day routine. It gets you someplace else. It gets you doing something else, learning something else, doing something else. Renew creativity, motivation, and vision. And lastly, again, it gives you purpose. That nonprofit needs you, and your skills are very valuable to them. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the different types of volunteering. So we talked about the formal and informal. From now on, all the ones we're going to be talking about are formal volunteer opportunities, okay? But there's different types of formal volunteer opportunities. And the first one is what we call event volunteer opportunities. And these are basically what you do is you sign up, you show up, and you serve, okay? That would be for your home days. That's what those volunteers. There's really not a lot of training involved. You really just want to show up. You're going to tell them how they're going to help out that day, and then they go home at the end of the day. So it's an easy ask. It's an easy way to start volunteering. And what I really like about these type of opportunities too, it gives the opportunity for the volunteer to learn about an organization. And it might be something down the road where they'd like to be a part of more in the future. So you don't know if you ask somebody to, come in and help with home days, down the road, would they maybe like to become part of the chamber? Would they like to become, on the planning committee for the home days and so forth? So there's a lot to be said about just getting volunteers to your door, to help with your mission down the road. So done-in-a-day opportunities usually fall into a couple of these categories. One is like a distribution. So it's usually distributing like food, fresh produce, diapers, school supplies, something where it's very easy. People are coming in, things are getting distributed to people, and they're on their way out. The other is collect and sort, before distributions. A lot of things also are fundraising events. So a lot of nonprofits need to have a fundraiser in order to have money. Again, so with those fundraisers, it could be help to set up for those events. It could be registration and greet guests, refreshments. A lot of places do races also, the 5Ks. So they need people with registration, with finish line, with that kind of stuff. Sales assistant, beer tents, if they're having a festival and they need people to help serve that beer. The other thing is community cleanups, especially in the spring and the fall, landscaping beds, weeding, picking up debris, and that type of thing. So just to talk a little bit about food distributions, these are some of the ones that we have on a regular basis. Even at Cuyahoga County Public Library, right across down that way, this way, that way, the library, that way. Yeah, they have food distribution once a month. I don't know what day it's on, but yeah. So, right here in the community, that's nice and easy. But that's a really easy in. Again, it's the food bank delivers the food to the different locations, and then volunteers are just helping load it into the people's vehicles or helping with registration and so forth. But those are always, easy 2-hour volunteer opportunities. So just a couple event opportunities coming up. 4 Miles for Water is from an organization that is very much, their mission is that drinking water is, everyone should have it. And so they work to make sure that the drinking water is safe, for everyone. They're having a run down at East Bank Flats. Step Out Walk, American Diabetes, that's at Huntington Field. A lot of organizations do their walks and runs even down at the zoo, which is really nice because you go in and you help out with that, and then you can spend the rest of the day at the zoo. Hospice of the Western Reserve is having theirs coming up in June, their Walk to Remember every year. And all these always need volunteers. Another one is Hands That Speak Volume. It is an organization that is for people with hearing issues, and they're having a documentary viewing about assistance with voting and so forth. And it's at Warrensville Library, and they just need people to help check people in, get this chair set up and so forth. But it's an easy Saturday afternoon, a couple hours. This is a fun one, Wings of Wonder. It's down at Berg Lakefront Airport, and it's for families with a child with a life-threatening disease, and it gives them the opportunity to go up in a plane, and it's a day of events and so forth. So it's, again, Cleveland Border Light Festival. It's a unique arts festival. It's down at Playhouse Square. They need people to help with guests, and so forth. So there is just an array of different, and again, these are just done in a day. These are just, you sign up, you show up, and you volunteer for the day. I'm going to talk a little bit about ongoing volunteer opportunities. That's something where it's ongoing. So there's usually a little bit of training involved in onboarding. There could be a background check depending on, who you're working with, what you're doing, and so forth. And they're looking for a commitment to stay. It could be they want you to show up once a week, once a month, less than a month, but or it could be also like if once they do the onboarding, they'd like you to stay for 6 months. So it all kind of depends on, every organization is a little bit different. But again, it's you're more involved and you're doing a bigger commitment. So there's more of a commitment that they would like you to stay a little bit longer. So a couple of things that really, so the American Red Cross, like for example, they're always looking for blood donor ambassadors, and there's blood drives everywhere. So no matter, where you're at, there's always blood drives. And with that, they just need people to help with the check-in process, give out the snacks at the end, and so forth. And what's nice about that is you can go in and once you go through the orientation, you can just go in and select like which one you'd like to do that month. I think they're just asking for you to do one a month, but that's a really nice opportunity. Another opportunity is deliver meals to homebound people. That's all your Meals on Wheels programs. That is probably one of the what's the right word for it? It's challenging because it's in the middle of the day, but with people having more flexibility in their time, we're seeing that it is something that people are doing more often. And depending on the Meals on Wheels program, some will let you like once a month, just offer your services once a month. But that's a great way. It's very impactful. Sometimes you delivering that meal to someone, you're the only person they see that day. So it's very impactful. It does help people stay in their homes, which is wonderful. But also it's a vital need. So other things like reception desk down at Great Lakes Science Center, their information, they're always looking for someone to be down there for that. All kinds of different things. Or the front desk of nonprofits, resale store assistant, theater volunteers, Redcoats. Down at Playhouse Square, they're always looking for volunteers, but also some of the smaller theaters. Broadview Heights Spotlight Theater, the local theaters, near West Theater. So a lot of the smaller ones also need that assistance with ushering, concessions, and so forth. animal shelter volunteering, tutoring and mentor, which always is a biggie. Also, you can do some things remotely. We have a couple of organizations that are always asking for encouraging letters for their clients. Mentoring and tutoring can be done virtually also today. Coaching careers to job seeker, disaster response teams, support groups, nutrition mentor friendly visitor. We also have a program which is called Chat Pals, and it was started during the pandemic. We were in the process of starting it before, and the pandemic pushed it forward. It matches a 55 and older individual with a volunteer, and we try to match them by common interest and so forth. It's not a wellness call. It's really a chat. It's just a friendly little chat. Just trying to connect two people for a virtual friendship. Again, it's been extremely successful. The commitment is like a 10-minute conversation a week. You get to pick the time, and it's a really great program. So we do have that too. So if you want to become part of Greater Cleveland Volunteers, I suggest you visit our website. Even if you don't want to become part of Greater Cleveland, I still suggest you visit our website, Greater Cleveland Volunteers. On there, we have every volunteer opportunity that we have been asked by the nonprofits to recruit for. So you get a good look at what is available. We have them divided by those different categories that we talked about: hunger, homelessness, and housing. And with that too, like when you see a category, it will tell you what they're where it's located at, what city it's located at. What type of opportunity is this? Is it weekday, weekend, evenings? So it does give you a little bit of information, going into that. It's a really easy process. You can, once you're enrolled with us, you can actually go on and self-select opportunities, and it'll automatically connect you with that agency. If you're not really sure what you want to do or what, we have a volunteer engagement coordinator that would love to talk to you and move forward with that. So that's really for individuals. Oh, so we can go, we'll get to that in a second, but with being members of the Chamber of Commerce, if you're interested in getting your individual organizations involved in volunteerism, there's really two ways to do that. One is do a group volunteer opportunity. You can contact us. We have all of our agencies that say they will accept groups. I have a list of those, and I can refer you to those. Another suggestion is also many organizations have gone to have gone the route, instead of doing it as a group, give individuals a day. So if they're full-time, give them 8 hours within the year that they can volunteer someplace. It's a great way to get them involved, get them in the community in different ways. And I actually find so many of the groups that come to me, they want to do it for a team building exercise rather than really a volunteer activity. And many times the organizations don't have the capacity to bring in a group that's that large. I mean, you think about it, most of them are kind of small. So they would rather much more someone come in on an individual basis than a large group come in. Occasionally we do have they do have the capacity, to bring in the larger group, but we're seeing more and more organizations, do the 8 hours for full time and whatever someone is part time a year, and give them the ability to do that. So, Cleveland Pickle Fest. So every nonprofit, we have our fundraiser, and ours is the Cleveland Pickle Fest. It started in 2019, and we had a wonderful event coordinator who, we were doing the gala, we were doing, the silent auction, we were doing the board all bought tables and that whole thing. She's, let's do a festival. And we're all like, okay. So, and she liked pickles. So it was okay. And she sold it to the board, so which was great. So the first year we figured we'd have like 500 people when we put it on social media. We had like 5,000. We figured we told the vendors to plan on 5,000. The day of, we had 16,000 people. So we were like underprepared. We could have been the Cleveland Asian Festival over the weekend. We could have been shut down, and we weren't. So we made it through that year. COVID came. We needed to size back, obviously, and so forth. But the last 3 years, we've been in Mall C, and it's been a great event. It's a great event for us. It's a great event for the community. So it is. It's just a fun day. So either I hope you can join us. If you'd like to volunteer, we'd love to have you. We're also doing a 5K this year. So yeah. So does anybody have any questions?
Does your organization offer consultations to companies that maybe volunteering is not part of their culture, and you guys could help them make it part of their culture?
Yeah, we do all the time. Yeah, it's something that we see more and more companies incorporating as part of who they are. That they want to be seen as a organization that definitely gives back to their community and gives back in a meaningful way, and not just kind of, a little bit here, a little bit there, but totally within a strategic plan. Yeah.
So you talk a lot about like 18 and older adults. Do you ever partner like with school districts? Like more schools are doing volunteer hours in order to graduate.
Mhm.
I think it's great to have it on any type of
Mhm.
college application or job application to say that you're volunteering. Again, it speaks volumes.
Mhm.
Like, so do you have anything that you would partner with, like our local school system?
Mhm. Yeah. So we do not enroll volunteers under 18.
Okay.
And we've looked at that many times, and it's just it just doesn't work. But what we do is, just like with our main mission is volunteers 18 and over, individual volunteers. But like I said, we know from our organizations that we partner with who accepts a group, who accepts families, who accepts teens, and then also who would accept community, court-appointed community service hours. And now the new one is SNAP. So we have that also. So it's not a formal referral, but I do have a list that, in fact, I was just in contact with Beechwood yesterday because they wanted the list. So I do have a list of organizations that do accept teen volunteers. And it does say like what age, what they could do, and so forth. So it's an informal referral,
Okay.
but yes, we definitely can help with that. Yeah. And one last thing, because retirement came up. So congratulations, by the way. But retirement came up, and I would say one thing, because if we're not there, we're all going to hit there someday. And I would encourage everyone, if you are not volunteering by the time you retire, that you incorporate volunteering into retirement. Because the day you retire, your world shrinks. Okay, your community of who you worked for is gone. Your purpose is different now. And volunteerism gives you so much, to move forward. I see so many people 2 years out of retirement that are lost. They're just like, I don't know what to do. And they're just starting. So the best thing is to, figure out, look around, find out what interests you, and move forward, because it's a great opportunity, to serve your community in a different capacity. So, but yes, you have the ability to expand your world through volunteerism. So, yeah.
You mentioned with this on teens and other everything else, with the schools, we've got a pretty good relationship. Because we run Keep Brooklyn Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And through them, prior to Mr. Larson, previous principal, 2 principals before, we would do community cleanups.
Mm-hmm.
Or like next Monday, or next Tuesday, we'd have 200, 250 students out across the city doing things.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do leaf raking, we've done meter walls on the sides of retaining walls, et cetera. So it can work. It's kind of set up, but it's not,
And again, and that's like, that's a community.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's outside, whereas most of the nonprofits have like a space and like how do I say it? So like their mission is not necessarily to clean up. You know what I mean? Like their mission is something else, and so they might not have the capacity to bring in a large amount. So like a good number is usually like 12. Like most places can accommodate 12 if their mission allows for it. You know, and again, like some of them, they just don't, you know, like they just don't have the capacity to accommodate that many people, and they don't have something for them to do, you know. And that's the one thing too, like you don't want to waste people's times. Like the worst thing is to send people to a volunteer opportunity and they're not utilized. Because guess what? That's going to leave a bad taste in their mouth. None of us want to waste our time, you know. So yeah, like communities, and if that's great, like the community and the school that works together is huge. I mean, that's just huge when that happens.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
All right, if you have any questions, please, we'll send out some information on the organization, but please reach out to Nancy. One more thing I wanted to mention earlier, I forgot, but June 8th is our second annual Brooklyn Athletics and Chamber golf outing. It's going to be at Ridgewood Golf Course over in Parma. So if you'd like to join us there, we also need sponsor holds for that as well. So if you'd like to join us to golf or just hang out, it's actually kind of, I don't golf, but I go and I have fun, so it's pretty cool. It's a nice day. So if you guys can make it there, it starts at 8:30. So if you'd like to join us, let us know. But otherwise, you can stay and chill out for a minute and network, and please have some donuts. If they're there, I don't want to take them, so please do. But thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
See you for sponsoring a whole
Yes,
email.
yes, perfect, thank you.
How are you?
I was just wondering.